All right, Grand Rising, guys. I'm getting ready to mark up the higher time frames here. I'm a little bit behind this morning, but I'm personally not looking to just attack right at the open today. I'm taking my time a little bit, but we're gonna start going live here Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays to kind of look over the markets. So. Had a couple issues, things I needed to work on. So it looks like we're good. We're looking at higher time frames, so we'll just be able to trade it together. So let's see what we get. A couple things I need to do here. So 25 yet? Okay, we're good. Okay, so let's see what we get here. Trying to make sure that we are live streaming here. Okay, looks like we're good. So I'm going to move a couple things here just very quickly. We only have a few minutes. Just basically where our end of day and stuff like that is. I don't have the previous day highs and stuff like that marked up on this one because I was studying and looking over. I was studying and looking over some CFD pricing on some swing trades that I had. So we'll go back here and we'll start to look. So now we're going daily 4 hour here. So let's just do this really quick. And depending on how the session looks, we might find a 15.5 position to the upside because I did kind of like that. But we'll see. So I'm gonna make sure, but no rush today. Because they basically already did what I wanted them to do. So they already capitulated and fell. So that market open is and then bounced back. So okay, market open. How much time we got? 4 minutes. Okay, cool. London open. Take this box. And then market open obviously is the high of the market. So massive 4 hour candle, draw on liquidity that we talked about in higher time frame makes a lot of sense. So we'll stick to kind of watching higher time frame and then some ES and YM and stuff as well. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this one at least marked up really quick. This would have been our previous day high right here. Before the gap. Alright, so this is a really key area for me. This gap, obviously. Previous day low. Excuse me, previous day high. Okay, and so those areas are really key for me. And then we'll look at all this over here really quick as well. So that's what I'm going to keep my focus on. We'll see what we get though today. What's on the right? Market open. Watch my time here, London. Now, there's a lot of price levels I would say too that I would personally go in and redo since we've done this, but I'm not really trying to go too crazy right now. I do really like that gap, so we'll watch, like I said, this to start off today. Inside the 150s. That's pretty crazy to think. So let's see what we get here at the open. So it looks like upside to me inside that 15.5 area, but like I said, I'm being way more patient today. So a lot of times too, around that New York time is when we're gonna find something a little better. So I'll move you guys to we're gonna focus just on NQ here, so we'll go to here and just kind of focus in here. So the reason why I'm not taking any personal trades right now is because I actually have some overnight CFD. So when the price actually fell, 2300 hours is 11 p.m. my time, and so I didn't take a futures position in that situation because I wanted to wait till New York today to be able to take a futures position. So that's why I'm just being a little bit more patient here on this. But if we find something today, then we will. But as of right now, that's why I'm just kind of marking up and looking at stuff. And we'll see how that first 1 minute. The first minute was very explosive. Some of those levels we don't really need, but the gap's the main one that I'm really focused on here. How we respond here at 24.6. And then 24.500 as well, so. These over here, the 1 hours. So out the gate, I mean, we don't really have very much. We have this demand set here at 24,400s. The New York opened up bullish. I want to see how this first 5 minute candle closes to see if we're gonna find strength through the gap, right? Or if we're just trying to fill the area because we did just reach and make a new high on day. So I'm going to, like I said, be patient on that. Okay. As I mark up a couple things on YM here. This would have been previous day high here. London would come off, marking comes off, daily comes off. Okay, so that first 5 minute candle did close. We did close with strength. We do have a demand set here at the 24,400. So I'm gonna be patient because, like I said, I have that overnight, and then I'm looking to possibly build into this only if it's very clean. All right, price is starting to break down from that market open. So if you do have any overnight trades, I would say I've trailed my risk to that low of day. And then on futures, depending on how we close in here, I may look to grab a position higher. It just depends on if we hold in this area, if we start to make our weakness at that 24,500. So. Pretty good price there. Okay, so we'll see. That thing. Starting to show some weakness there. I do kind of like how that's starting to show at New York Open. So I might be looking to frame something on futures, right? Like somewhere in like a 1 to 3 range. This is starting to break down inside that 5 minute area perfectly. So after delivering the new high on day, so we'll see if we can potentially find something in here. Looks pretty weak. And then let me look at the other two here really quick. We are starting to see some weakness on ES. We are starting to see weakness on YM. So with a massive overnight play like this, we could end up seeing weakness. But like I said, I'm not too for sure yet, and I'm going to be very patient just because I have that swing trade. So.
Your CS inventory needs a glow up. Stop wasting time on junk. With Hell CS2, your inventory
Yeah, it's starting to break down slightly.
into a fairy tale. 5 cases are waiting. Claim your pack.
You've got something to cheer for, like paying less for your trips. Score a great deal on.
Okay, so like I said, I'm still being patient. I know the small time frames really do support potentially that fall, but because they're respecting this 24,400 little demand trap candle here, kind of makes me think like maybe they'll have difficulty. But because they drew on the market open liquidity 24,500, that's what I anticipated to see with some buyers from the overnight to start to pull some of those profits. So. But unless I see something just like really clear outside of what I already have, then I'm not gonna take it just because I don't really need to. Okay, and so these essentially look like pretty good liquidity. I'd say like right here, these lows right here. So for them to reach down, for them to reach down to grab this makes a lot of sense. But just gonna be patient here and see. Let me mark a couple things here on ES. ES is looking good too, so I just kind of want to show that from a perspective here in just a second. New York open. Okay, let me be patient here and see. Futures, like I said, I do like the shorts on futures, to be honest, so maybe we're able to find something in there. So yeah, something to the downside, like right in here, wouldn't be bad, I don't think, for a 1 to 3. And then you already have your limit buys set, like you guys know that we do. So. But I'd rather personally take it when we have the New York open area. So just being patient here, like I said, because we'll see. I thought the buys were gonna just run off for the overnight. So okay, let's see here. So that looks pretty good. So all my trailed risk on the CFD that I took like right in here are right here in these lows. So if you guys are short in this position here, this makes a lot of sense. I mean, I personally like those type of areas. So. Okay, so just watching this area, I think it's going to roll over through that liquidity. ES looks pretty weak still, so. some personals. Probably about to deliver. So I'm gonna pan over to the higher time frame just because that's where I think we have the most action going on here. Okay. So pretty consolidated here. Looks like we're just not really finding acceptance over that market open area, so. So cool. There's the breakdown. So on the trailing risk on the CFD buys, let's say you bought somewhere in here, my risk is getting ready to be delivered because I had a trailing risk on that area of like another point. It's almost there now. So we might get close. We'll see. It got it got so close to it. I have it right under this low here. So let me go back so you guys can see that window. So my risk on that trailing risk trade is right there under that 343s, and they came in like a point of that. So like I said, I'm just being patient on this area. Looks like they're holding up still pretty good. So I'm gonna take a few notes here. But as of right now, like I said, futures wise, I don't have anything. I'm just being patient looking. And then CFD, I had some overnight buys because how price had fell off, and I was able to find a position around like 11 p.m. at night to then ride up. So. Yo, what's goody, bro? Right now, I'm just watching, bro. Because I had a CFD buy that I had taken, so just trying to manage that position, to be honest. At this point, still, my risk was sitting right under these lows, so bought it around 11. So it was like in here. This is midnight, so I bought it like somewhere in here, and then trailed my risk up to the breakout area. And so what we'll do is we'll look at the higher time frames here really quick for a second. So looking at all three, it just looks more than likely that they want to fill Sunday's gap. And so that's why I wanted to have those long positions going into this. Still watching this area. Like I said, I feel like the rollover is gonna happen. It's just when is it gonna happen? And then those trailing risk on the buys will be met.
For 102 years, we have been burning the man. We call it Suzuka. Putting the past behind us and starting fresh.
They're so close to that area, to be honest.
The most exciting steps in searching for a home.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so the shorts, that's what I believed. I believed that they were going to fall over here. So my trailing risk on the, let me go back to here. The trailing risk on the CFD, I believe was met. Yeah, it was met on that area. So now that we've seen that overnight price deliver, I think we could maybe see this thing roll over. Right, so nice. So I was gonna take a future short up in the 24, excuse me, excuse me, 24 440s, but like I said, I was holding this position here, so I'm kind of focused on that. And then that 1 minute did break down really nice, so just being patient here. Take a look at this, how it looks. See if they're gonna break down or what they're gonna do here. I would love to see the rollover to the low of day. That'd be pretty crazy. Especially if you have shorts. I mean, that'd be insane. Okay, so I'm gonna continue to watch this area here. And we'll watch all three here instead. Kind of watching to see if they're gonna roll this or what they're gonna do. Because a lot of people shorted inside that gap, and so they just may not be done yet because of that. But I do like the rollover at this point, pretty much. Nice little roll. Let's see. Good clean target too. So was those equal lows on NQ here on the 15, like those two right there. And then if you look, obviously here, we're looking at all across the board, right? You have ES showing weakness, you know, under those 660s, and then you have 46.9 is a good level here on YM. So to see that at the same time is pretty good. And then with the low of days. That's starting to topple over here, really nice. So I felt like anything like once it did this candle here at 35 to 40 on NQ, I figured that we would see some weakness back into the initial balance. So, but we'll see here. 9 a.m. will tell us. Like I said, there's a lot of people who shorted early, I believe, and price could easily go back up. Yeah, good draw on liquidity there, but I just don't think they're done going up yet. When you look at NQ from a higher time frame perspective, to short at an area where we've already drawn on a daily, liquidity is, to me, is less likely. Alright, so we'll keep our eyes, I'm going to keep my eyes over here on 1 hour and 4 hour because we're getting ready to close the 4 hour bar. I do want to take a look at gold. Gold's starting to see that weakness, which makes sense. Our QQQ open down as well, but inside of a demand after a liquidity draw. So to me, I just would rather see potential strength out of this area a little bit, but it's up to the markets here. We'll watch all three here. $47K. 47K. Are you talking about like 47K whole level for YM, or what are you talking about? Oh, 47K. I get what you're saying. I don't know why I was reading that wrong, what you were saying. Yeah, and that's kind of why I'm thinking like people shorted a little early and price will start to rebound in this situation and start to reverse back up. So it just really depends on what they want to do. Now for me on that CFD swing from the overnight, like in here, the 24-100 areas, I probably could have left my risk here instead of this candle here, but that's a lot of points to secure. So it was like over 200 points on the secure, so that's not bad at all. But let's see what 9 a.m. gives us. If we don't see anything that's just like super clear, I probably won't take a futures trade, just depending. So. Because, like I said, I don't see very much with that gap being there, other than gap fill, and they kind of filled some of it, but they didn't fill it. So still watching this area here. Starting to find some buyers there in those 360, 350s. So I'm gonna mark that area here. For 350s. I'm thinking it's gonna roll, but starting to see a little bit of strength on the others. They're really holding those 350s pretty good right now, which is interesting. Okay, so really quick, I want to check just how the 4-hour closed. You can see the 4-hour that closed from 5 to 9 a.m. was a bearish close, and then and then the 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. candle was a manipulation wick, but we failed to break lower. And so when I can see something like that going into the second half of the day, it's just choppy. Unless you took. One second. So unless you took the shorts at the open, at the draw and liquidity on market open, then I would say most likely price is going to continue to go up, right? Because people who shorted here just kind of shorted just the highs at the current moment. You know what I mean? So, but really nice V-shaped recovery when you're looking at. Let's go back to here. Really, really nice V-shaped recovery on the right side of a candle. So I probably would have played this, the 55 to 9, and then play this candle here like this. But I just didn't want to play that yet today because I already had that position. But something like that, and then when the candle was wicking down into the area to play it up, potentially back up through the shorts, right? If they're not going to fall fairly quickly. So just looking at NQ, for example. But I did like those to short off, but we'll see. And now we got to remember, since we took the market open area, that this is the new high on day. So this is the hottest spot in my eyes of where you're gonna have sell side liquidity. Okay, so now it's like they want to go for that HOD. They probably want to fill 50% of the gap from the weekend, right? At least now, and touch that 550 level. Now, when they touch that 550 level, they could easily make the price fall over. They don't have to even deliver the 550 level. They could fail here at New York, right? But more than likely, because of the draw on liquidity, the individuals, sending screenshots saying they're taking profit on shorts, I can almost attest to like that being the sense of buy limits filled really heavy here at 24 350s for people to get that secured bag, and now you'll see price kind of move up to 550s potentially if the 5-minute can break through the supply area here, right? If this area fails inside the 550s, 450s, so I'm gonna mark that, then you most likely will see price roll over, right? So 450s right here, but the way it looks like on a higher time frame, to me, it looks like we're gonna make our way out of that daily 4-hour zone. So could be the rejection that we were talking about here, right inside the supply at New York. Let's see if they do it. Nice push away too. Really, really nice push away. Yeah, I'm watching them here. Yeah, they're falling off here. So it was a good midi. That's why I was like, the way that this wicked in this area here on the 1 hour, and then but it's just, are they gonna fall over? With this one falling over, it makes complete sense, because it's going right back into the demand of H1, and so they all have that H1 demand candle and initial balance fair value gap areas. So that's kind of where I'm like, let's see what we can get, you know. So I'm gonna keep this one up because I'm watching the smaller time frames over here for right now. Are you in any shorts right now? Because it looks pretty good off the supply. They just never delivered any liquidity. Mark this level 46.6, 46. Nice little imbalance there. I just don't think they're done here yet. They've not made it easy enough for buyers to or for the sell side to just fall over. So we still got a 300 level to deliver. 24, 300. Yeah, it's kind of choppy up in there. I'm really surprised. The only reason I don't have that sell here is because I had that overnight buy. Excuse me. I'll probably watch here till like, let's see, like 9:30s. Because they might wait until the second half to buy up, which I don't really want to take another buy today, so. That was a beautiful rejection inside the 15, the 5 minute. Alright, I'm gonna take some notes here really quick. He bought it up, wow. Still seeing strength here, right? So like when I see that strength here on the NQ, and then I see the way the intraday price is still playing, right? It still looks like we have 15-minute looking kind of strong, 5 minute kind of respecting off this candle. It's like I want to see this New York low be wiped if they're gonna do it, right? Because they have so much liquidity sitting in here at that New York low because of buyers trying to buy this area here. So it just depends, you know. But New York low, New York high, obviously these are two good areas. Now, how I would be looking at this is like trying to make sure I'm framing up a 5 minute area, something like this, right? To then get back above the high of this 5 minute candle up into those 24 480s. So that's something I would be framing if I was looking for a buy position there. As of right now, I'm just kind of being patient because the other two still look relatively weak. So we shall see what we get. But I do think the initial shorts were pretty good. TPs obviously had a good target, and then you could have left a runner on most likely, depending on your entry. Now I'm gonna lock in right here though on this area just because I want to see what they're gonna do. Looks like they're coming for the New York low. ES and YM are falling here. Moving to this. I was looking at like 66 flat for ES, so something like 66, and then we're breaking below the 50 level currently, so 66.50. Okay. Still weak on ES and YM, so that 1 minute. 1 minute looks pretty weak right there, so now if we do get the rollover, because I did want the overnight buy to play out and work, and I already hit my trailer. If we do get the rollover back through, back into the imbalance and, back below 24 200s and even closer to really the low of day, because that could essentially happen, then I'll probably just wait for tomorrow. Because I would have liked these shorts to play out. I liked how they were positioning here at 855 as well with the upside, but the momentum is just more swinging this way. We'll take a look at the other two really quick. So looking at the other two, right, we have the same type of reaction here with YM off that 47.067s, and then the same thing of market open and New York open here. ES failed to go higher, so it's just, yeah, I mean, I'm just gotta be patient. There may be something closer. Now my clock out time when I'm usually done on the charts is around 11:15. But on YouTube, what I'm gonna plan to do is be live for like the first hour, so like 8:30 to 9:30, and then we'll most likely move over to the private groups after that. But that way we can kind of like kick off with each other here. But let me lock in again here. And I'm watching this 1 hour tight, and I'm watching ES. So you guys, what I'm watching is what you guys are seeing. I'm watching YM and ES, and I'm watching that H1 on NQ, but also I'm watching intraday, right, like smaller time frame, to get a grasp of potentially what they're doing. I like how the 5 minutes really presenting here on NQ if you're looking at smaller time frames. I do like like I said, I like the 5 minute area on the buy side of NQ. Me personally, like I said, I'm gonna probably sit on the sidelines on this, but I do like the 5 minute here. I'll bring us back to that so we can kind of see. So looking at the price, I like how this is responding in here. Like this is the type of situation I like to see if they're not gonna go lower in that area. Yeah, I like that area. Just the way it responded and the way it's refusing to go lower, right? Is interesting. Now, can they reach down very quickly? Yes, but it's just they're failing to just push it lower, so it's an interesting area. Okay, I'm just watching here. The 370s would have been nice. Now we are outside of the time window, so like it's either this will work or it's gonna just the area will fail and go below 350s. But I have a good feeling that this buy area attacking that the high of day is gonna work out. Let me take a look at a smaller here. I really like that area. I would have added on to the CFD here, but I never wanted to really trail the risk past 300 level, so I'll just accept it from here. Everything looks pretty solid there, we'll see. Now, really watching ES at 6650 here as well, to see if it starts to print 15 and 5 strength, if it's going to go higher, because then most likely they'll run through the 67s pretty easy. But that move, I think, is already showed itself here. So like if you were already ready to frame somewhere in like that 24 350s, and you have a pretty good trade in your hands, I think. Just kind of looking there. Okay. I do like this to potentially go up here. It's just how aggressive can they get at the 400s? Because if not, they're gonna whip below this New York low fairly quickly. Take a look at ES, YM. YM still weak. ES still kind of looking weak at those 650s. So let's see. That's kind of why I'm being patient today, is because they've been very choppy until like 10 a.m. Right? They've been very choppy until like 10 a.m. recently, so you had to be very selective on the move. Oh, that might have been the area, guys. That might have been the area right there I was looking at. So um, that looks pretty good to extend up off that 1 minute area as well. Okay. Now, if they take this high of day, that'll be the end of the session for me, because that's all essentially I really would have wanted. Even on my swing trades, that's essentially what I wanted, was the 50% of the gap. Okay. Yeah, they should be responding right now. They're all pretty much in the area. So like this was NQ was perfect, and then ES, like I said, was going to respond potentially off the 650s. And then this one's pretty simple too, based on the location of where you're at. You have demand inside the 46 650s. So that area pushing up was a pretty good area to go. And so just looking for this push on through the HOD, and then that way we can evaluate here with NQ. Because like I said, I personally only want to buy positions today, so I wasn't really looking to short anything, and I'll explain that here in a second on the higher time frame, based on the daily sweep that we had down to 24,000 whole level. So let me look at this really quick one more time. Okay. Yeah, I feel like this was the best response right now. Now, here's the thing. We always say protect or pay yourself at points of interest. This is going to be the area where if you took a buy position down here off 24,350s or anywhere in 370s and higher, anywhere in this area, I would say you want to protect yourself or start to trail some risk, just because you don't know if you're going to get back to the 550s or that previous day low, which is 24 600s. It looks really good as of right now to do that, just because of how many buy limits probably filled from the early shorts of New York Open. So, like I said, if we get that delivered here fairly quickly, then that's probably what I'll just look for the day, because I won't really want anything else. I almost looked at a 6 minute. What a retard. Okay, so watching this 5 minute area here, just to kind of see what we get. See if we push on through these highs or if they fake out here. We did reach into that 24,480 level, so it could be a fake out. Noobs buy tops and sell bottoms, so they'll try to get people to try to buy it on the breakout. And so that's why I said, well, if you took a position down in here, just to kind of give an idea what this would have looked like before it starts to drip. Say you took it in here, you had a sign of strength, you took your candle like in those 362s. You've already secured a 1 to 3, and you should be break even on the trade, like down and below in the accumulation area, and then looking for this to reach higher. You don't want to be fighting for the price up here on a 5 minute area. Now, if it starts to create that down candle in 1 minute sign, yeah, but like if you could get the move down here at the right time, that's when you really want the move. So they'll wipe these areas very quickly. So just imagine if you took that buy here and you were 1 to 3 and price didn't go close 5 minute higher, then at least you're hitting break even right now instead of a trade where it's gonna blast you, right? Watching down 5 and 15. Yeah, just being patient here. Look at the higher time frame really quick. We still look really good to me on H4 and the daily wick like that. So we'll see how the candles close. Though the candles are closing here are gonna tell us everything we need to know. What time is it? 9:28. So we still got some time for last 15 minutes of the hour as well. Take a little drink here. Okay, still watching the area. I like how it's waking away from the 400s though. Let's see how this 5 minute closes. Good 5 minute. Let's see if it can turn up here. And this 15 minute close of the bullish candle. So it's either going to push through the opening price or it just rejects and drips. I like this. Like I said, I like how they responded the first time. If they can close a 5 minute body above New York, like if this can go above New York opening price and not reject it and just fall, then most likely they'll go clear the sell side, right? And they'll reach for that high of day, which makes a lot of sense to me. So let's see how they print here on this 5 minute. Take a look at those, like you said. YM and ES look really strong, really good. So this looks more than likely to play out pretty good, I would think. Like I said, I'm just looking for that that new high day to create here on NQ. And then the reason being, like I said, if you guys can see the higher time frames of the other two, you know, you're looking pretty good, like a V-shaped recovery on YM, V-shaped recovery here on ES. And so with that H1 still showing some strength at the point of interest is a good sign to me. But we need to see, I would need to personally like to see candle closures above the area to be more confident that this move can actually work, because it can easily just reject this this supply area, right, or the 432s in that New York Open, and then just take off. So but it looks pretty strong. How's that 5-minute opening? See if it turns on here with some strength, or if they're going to reject New York here. ES still looks pretty strong on that right side, but it's just the location of where this one is. All right, 5 minutes kind of peaking above the New York, but you'd want to see some solid body closures here in like 3 minutes or sooner above the 450s if it's going to go, because otherwise it's taking too long to get to the area. And then you guys can see the that window. So what I'm saying right here is this 5 minute, you want to see it turn on right here at New York and go reach for these highs, and then that'll be a really good play. So I took a small little position here on futures that I'm going to cover fairly quickly. So this is all I have on the board as of right now. Just keeping this a really tight buy position on that futures pop out. Okay, so you guys can see this window, but I need to be able to see the hour right here. So I'm gonna move you guys back to the middle screen here. Okay, so we can see this price here because we're looking pretty good to reach through. And then what I'm looking for here on this on the break even, because I just basically have it sitting break even. So I just have my limit sell right there, and then I'm going to either break even or I'll hit that the limit sell, and then continue, and we'll talk about where we want to get to after that. So looking at it right now, what I want to see happen, like on an H1, is us fill. Where's the gap? I want to see us fill this gap from here to the open, right? Like this. I want to see us fill this 50% area. So the 560s, right, would be a really good area to see them hit. And then we're getting ready to get potentially that we just got that delivery through that area. So if you're in any buys, I'd be break even for sure to secure the bag. Now I could have got in a lot lower, but I'm sitting here talking it through as well. But as we push through higher here, what I'm going to look for, like I said, is knowing where that 3 to 1 R is, or that, excuse me, that 1 to 5 R is. So we'll stick to the middle screen for right now, just so we have an idea of what we're looking at here in the smaller. And then that was a 1 to 3. So I want to map out my 1 to 5. My 1 to 5 is sitting at like the 550s essentially. So 24 550s, 24 550 zone would be that 1 to 5 zone. Okay. That's if we can reach up there too. Okay. Now this will be the area here that'll let us know we got the 5-minute expansion. So this is kind of what I like to do, is just remind myself that we did make a sign of strength here. I've got to go to a different window to do that. All right, so we're just identifying that that's a sign of strength. And then over here, okay, I'm watching higher time frame still. Now, as they start to get weak here, they could definitely do it right before they approach the high. So that's why I said I'd be protected on the remainder of that other position. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buy, so I'm going to sell. All right, so I'm just waiting for the remainder. So like that position that I was looking for, let's see here, was down in here at New York. I was just looking for a 1 to 3 move up, and then I'm looking for the 1 to 5 move, right, up above the highs. If I get that, I'm done for the day, right, on that move that I showed you guys, on futures at least. Regardless, I'm break even, which is good, but I'd love to see them go a little bit higher here and take out that next area that I want, and help me, you know, get into this area here that we talked about, 24,550s. Okay. I put a little trailer, guys, at 664s, 464s. So just one to sell if it does, like if it does come that low, and then I have the rest of it break even. So just in case they try to play around here. So basically, maybe if you have 2 contracts, I put 1 risk here, and I'm still trying to get to this area here. So if it comes down, hits that 1, it's still break even from the remainder. They can still run, but if not, then at least I'm holding the position. So I'll kind of show what that looks like here in just a second. But with that sign of strength, that's a good sign, right? So like this is what it looks like, having that risk in that 464 area, and then having the rest break even, okay? So my goal is to trail this as we get through the 1.5, or I might just shut it down for the day, because I've only had, this is the only position I've taken on futures. I was going to only take positions on CFD today. So I would be grateful for, obviously we were looking for like something like a last week's initial balance area low, so like the 650s would be really nice. So it just depends on what they want to do. And then we do look good on ES and YM, so that's pretty good signs there too, right? That we talked about those. We wanted to see more higher time frame off that 650, and then I said off of this area here, it only made sense for them to cover, right? Because look where they're at on the 1 hour on YM, look where they're at on ES on the 1 hour, and then it's more manipulation in a sense in this area here with NQ, okay? And so that makes sense to me to see price respond off of those special candles, right? Now, if you're in an ES buy, I'd protect or pay yourself. You're at point of interest. You've reached New York Open, right? And so I would definitely be one to protect something. And then on this same situation here, personally, if I were you, with an entry like this, if this is the entry you have, or if you have lower, you know, you can manage a little bit better. But if you have the entry that I have, then I would probably be good with what we just got right there, right? That'd be a really good session. You know, 1 to 3 R secured on the way up. You have your 1 to 5 R as well, so that's still a really good day. All right, sorry, I'm just trying to watch here. All right, and so how I'm gonna manage this position, since it's all the way risk off, is we're looking for our area to deliver. So now what I'm gonna look for is a sign of weakness on a 5 minute, right? If 5 minutes starts to show weakness, then I'm out of there, okay? All right, if you want, on your second half of your trade, you could just trail all your risk up to the bottom of this candle if you wanted to, just to like not worry about it at all. But it's Monday, baby. And so we'll see what we get here. Okay. So we're looking pretty good, even though, like I said, it wasn't exactly cookie cutter, but we wanted to see price hold this area here. So that's pretty much what I'm going to focus on going into the end of the stream here. Oops. So I'm going to trail one of those up, right, to the 530s right now. Just because if we stop getting 5 minute strength, right, so like that 5 minute low, if we stop getting 5 minute strength, I want it to pull a 2.5 R, okay, if that makes sense. But I also don't want to pull myself out of a great position, so, okay. But that 2.5 R is secured, even though it wasn't the greatest location, could have gotten better on the 5 minute. Good continuation trade on the right side of a dump. And so now we're starting to see, let's take a look at this really quick. Now we're starting to see that higher time frame turn on, right? From YM, ES obviously starting to climb, right? H1 responded off the 650 level like we anticipated, which made sense inside the 4 hour demands, right? Look at YM's 4 hour 50% demand fill. Same thing with ES. And now we can go back to higher time frame here and really look for potential weekend gap to fill. So I'm going to go ahead and secure probably the bag here on futures. I'm going to keep trailing it up just to secure that 2.5 area. So I like to secure the three. For me, it's gonna be the 538s. I mean, for you, it could be the 530s, depending on where you got in. So I'm securing that. Anybody else in any trades today? Did you guys take anything? It's kind of last minute for me on futures there, but we ended up playing it out pretty good. Now, if you guys want to, like if you're watching this recording, let me move this over here. If you're watching this recording, oh, sorry, I got a lot of crap going on here, sorry. If you're watching this recording, then if you want to trade live with us on a Zoom call or inside the Discord here going forward, just reach out to me and we'll figure out how to set that up for you, okay? And so we're looking good, I think. Now when you look at like a 4-hour daily, look at this, guys. Like daily destroyed those areas, 4-hour demand candle, and now we're extending up through the gap. This is a perfect trade. This is the perfect type of area we like, okay? ES and compare, it looks like we're winning here, right? We're not in the gap yet on ES, but we're definitely inside the gap here. So let me go ahead and monitor this. We'll keep watching this. Beautiful V-shaped recovery off the 650 level right there. So I'm out on futures for the day for a profit, just because, like I said, well, I've trailed the risk up to, to the 538. So we'll see what they do, but looks pretty good for the day, guys. If I had to take a guess on the remaining price here, let's see here. Areas that I would personally target are gonna be, so you have your previous day high, which is super far away. You have last week's like New York, session here, which is gonna be the 24,900s. So I mean, you're looking at, from that high to the current low, right? Just to kind of get an example. All right, just from that high to the current low, still a pretty good retracement area up to 750s. Okay, so either they'll hit that trailing risk on those futures trades, all right, because I have all my risk trailed up to right here, right, or they're going to continue up and I'll continue to trail. But with that being said, for the YouTube for today, like if we do get hit out on those 532s, that's a really good trailing risk. That'll be it for me today on YouTube. We're about to kind of go over and talk more inside the private call, just about the rest of the day and how we're going to manage. But I feel like it was pretty good. We'll start a little bit earlier tomorrow. Today I had to start a little bit later because my dog started doing this weird hack right into the call. So appreciate you guys watching here on YouTube, and we will be back most likely on Wednesday for live trading again. So that being said, I appreciate you guys watching this, and see you guys in the next one. Kind of watching that area still, right? We're still looking pretty good. ES still looks really good. And then you're just thinking about all the New York highs here, okay? So cool. Like I said, I'm gonna keep this level, like we talked about here. I'm keeping this level as my trailed risk, right? So everything is risk off. I don't have any more risk on the table, right? And then I've trailed everything essentially to this 5-minute low, the 528s, right? So if you look at that, right, 5R, and we had already hit our 1 to 3. That's gonna secure a 2.5R on the day, which is still really good. Okay, so talk to you guys a little bit later. Have a good one.